welcome back to Our Community. Susie Thomas visiting with Doris Spurrier from New Covenant World Mission and Hospital Shalom.
Yes.
And her sister, Jane Taylor, who is an avid supporter of both of those organizations. We were talking about the beginnings of this hospital that you and your husband, Tim, were beginning. First, you have to begin to hire medical personnel. Where do you go to Guatemala and start finding folks to staff it?
Well, there's always medical students there, and there's those who have graduated. And Guatemala City is so large that there would not be a place for them there. So they come to the PT-2, and that's how we found people.
And you started with a staff of what?
Oh, I think 5 people altogether, like a doctor, a nurse. And we didn't start with the kitchen staff because we started with outpatient clinics first. And so we just had cleaning, doctor, nurse, and a secretary, and that was the secretary did the pharmacy and everything like that.
So everyone could come in. For what were you treating primarily in those early days?
I would say pretty much anything. Like if someone got cut, they would come in and get their machete cut stitched up. But mainly probably parasites, a lot of parasites.
Wow.
A lot of malaria, things like that.
Those are very serious things.
Yes.
Is there a way that those of us, like Jane, can we come alongside you from the States and support the work you're doing to help people not get malaria and these kinds of things?
Well, we also have a program to where we go into the school system, and we usually go into the very rural areas. We help provide all their school books, backpacks, and then we do a nutritional program once a month, and we go in and also do teachings, telling them how they need to boil their water, that they, need to make outdoor bathrooms and instead of just going anywhere, and all of that, and to kind of corral their animals so that the animals aren't everywhere, so that all of that. But that is what we do, is we go into the villages, and we also, our goal is to educate the children. And that's to get an education there, because if they can't read or write, the cycle will never be broken.
Right, and they can't learn about things like sanitation.
Exactly. And understand it, So that is what we do is, we take a village and we focus on that village for at least 1 year, sometimes 5. Depends on the size of the village.
Let's do some fundraising here. How can we help? How can we come alongside?
You can help by supporting a child have surgery. You can help support a school program like I just described. We also do prosthetics, and that is a very expensive project that we totally fund. Not just us. They're Way of Hope out of North Carolina and Life Enabled out of Raleigh, North Carolina also. We all come together to make this program happen. Their prosthetics are given to them totally free. Wow. And they're built on site. We have a whole lab to where we build prosthetics, and believe you me, people think, oh well, there's many birth defects, there's many diabetics who end up with amputations because in your government hospital you only get 1 surgery. You don't get a toe taken off. You get a whole leg, and so it's like there's so many needs for prosthetics. We do between 30 and 50. Twice a year, and we still have a waiting list of 100 almost every time.
But you're able to make them right there on site. How long have you been able to do that?
We have been doing that for at least 9 years.
That's amazing.
And we have, of course, perfected it. They're going into 3D printing now,
right,
to be able to do the prosthetics and all of that. And they come one day, they get fitted, and then they come back 2 days later and they receive.
I love that you have taken our very, very best, most cutting edge and taken it to Guatemala, because we're just now doing that here as well.
Exactly. And so we are starting with the 3D printers and 3D printing prosthetics.
Now, people there don't have health insurance. How do you get paid? By people supporting you, and then you make these procedures free to the population?
They're not totally free unless they're like a widow, an orphan, or something like that. They have to pay something, because it's like any other program. If it has no value, it's not worth anything. And that's how it's treated. And so we do, and there is a pay scale.
So they pay what they can.
Yes, exactly. They pay what they can afford to pay, and that's
it's more
each
appreciated
person.
that
Yes,
way.
it is. And not only that, I think Tim has said many a times, we've had people that have paid by giving a chicken or 2 chickens, for whatever. And of course, the kitchen will serve them the next day. So, but it's just how it is. It's not worth anything if it didn't cost anything.
Right.
And
my goodness. All right.
But our prosthetics are free. That is just a donation. Yes.
It's amazing. Jane, your reaction to all of this, knowing what it was like in '88 and seeing it now, your response.
It's amazing. It just is amazing. And I had the privilege in 2016 to be there for 2 months. And during the prosthetic clinic was going on during that time. And it is phenomenal.
What kinds of things did you get to do?
A little baby came in that had a club foot that had surgery, probably a year old. And so Brent was able to form a cast to help keep the foot straight while it healed and while it grew. A little boy, 2 years old, had never walked. He had lost his leg in a motorcycle accident. And there you can have 5 people on a motorcycle, and they're not Harleys. So accidents happen quite often. But he got a prosthetic and was able to play soccer and walk. And the children grab that so quick. They just walk. And it's so exciting to see these people come in maybe on crutches and to walk out. And the joy on their face is phenomenal.
Melts your heart.
Oh, it does. But I got to help with the shoes and all of that. So it was amazing, very, very rewarding to watch what God has done.
Now, did Jane get to do this because she's your sister, or can anyone volunteer and come?
Oh, no, anyone can volunteer. And we do have teams that come, and we're now focusing mainly on medical teams at the moment. But if we, in the future, begin construction again, then we're going to be needing construction teams.
There'll be lots to do.
Oh, there'll be so much to do.
What are your dreams for this new wing? What will happen there?
Well, it'll fit more people.
So continuing what you're doing, but just
continue
more
what we're
space.
doing and making it better. As a matter of fact, in late September, we will dedicate a blood bank and our intensive care unit. And we will have, what did Tim say? I believe it's 4 of the 10 ventilators in the PT-2. So right now there is only 6 for over 1 million people.
Wow.
And
What is your staff now? How many?
We have around 25.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite a difference.
It is. And, of course, those are hired. Then we have those who just come in when needed, like specialists, things like that, as needed. So those are the ones that work there every day. But then if we, let's say, need a urologist or whatever, we can call them to come in.
And they come in from Guatemala City?
No, they come right from the local area now. And they'll come and see the patient. And
Wonderful. And then also volunteer staff who are medically trained can come on down and
we
help
have a
as well.
volunteer nurse right there right now from Portsmouth, Ohio. And she is volunteering her time to help teach and train, because continued education for them is very important, which they do not have that opportunity to get. So if we can help them do better, make better, their training is very basic. It's mainly on-the-job training.
Give us a tour through the hospital. Take us, what would we find? What wings and services do we find there?
Okay, well, you would walk in and there would be a waiting room. And then there's a pharmacy right there in the waiting room area where they can get their meds. And we have x-ray, we have ultrasound, we have full lab. And like I said, our lab is the reference lab now in the area.
Wow.
So that all the others check their lab results with our lab if they're having malfunctions on their machines and stuff. And we will have our blood bank. We have 4 outpatient clinics. We have a mammogram machine. Like I said, x-ray, ultrasound. We have a full dental clinic.
Wow.
Yes, we can do x-ray. We can do oral surgery. We can do, everything. We have a full 3-chair dental clinic. We have 2 large ORs. Fully equipped with laparoscopic equipment. So we do laparoscopic surgeries also. We also have a
For
neurologist.
people who aren't familiar with that word, tell me what that is.
That's invasive surgeries. So it's very minimal invasion to do the surgery.
Wow.
So,
Through lasers.
well, yes, and just small incisions.
Amazing.
And scopes and things like that. They're able to do what they need to do. And upstairs, we have our administrative offices. We have 2 apartments and 2 4-bed dorms, so that if people come and want to stay as they're caring for patients at the hospital, they can stay right there in the hospital.
So that's not for the patients to stay in.
Exactly. No, it's for
Wow.
visitors. And then we have 20 beds. We have private rooms, and we have semi-private rooms, and we have some wards, and we have a children's area.
Some of the things you're describing here, I'm thinking, maybe some of our local hospitals might learn something and begin to add some of these amenities right there as well.
And then we've been blessed. We have 2 miles from the hospital. We have a large campus where we can house doctors and volunteers that come to work at the hospital.
Where do you live now? What is your home like now?
My home we have been very blessed. In the last 4 years, like I said, we were given a campus that was complete. It was totally finished by another American group who had been there and completed their mission there, and they just donated it to us. So we live in a home. I have a very nice kitchen. I have everything I need, and our apartments are very nice. They're above and beyond what you would find in most places, but God provided that for those who come to visit.
Tell me about your family today. Your children are now adults.
Yes,
and
they are.
well on the way of their own lives. Tell me
Exactly.
what
Our
what are
daughter
they?
lives in Texas. Our son lives here in Ohio. And we have 3 grandchildren.
Wow.
But our grandchildren are now 25, 18, and 13.
How crazy
So,
does that seem?
Exactly, because really, our youngest is about the age that our kids were when we went to Guatemala.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
yes.
And did this heart for missions continue to run through the family?
The heart is there. It's leaving the States. I believe that's the hardest part for everyone. And they still come visit. They still love everything about the people of Guatemala. They both speak Spanish fluently.
Wow.
So, and I believe that as God wills, they'll be back. So, but that's something, and that's what we always wanted, is that's a decision they have to make.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and we're all called in different ways.
Everyone is called to be a missionary.
Absolutely.
Whether it's to your next door neighbor, whether it's to the person you work beside, but all of us are called.
Thank you for saying that so eloquently, because that is exactly right.
It is.
We're all missionaries in our own way.
Field.
In our own field.
Yes.
Jane, just to get your final thoughts, too, about being that kind of a missionary, sometimes going over and helping physically, but for the most part, praying on this side. How important is that prayer support?
Prayer is vital. It's as important, if not more, than money, because they're on the front lines. They're in a different country, a different culture, a different way of thinking, a different all-around view in life. And the enemy would like to stop the gospel from being spread in the Petén and in Guatemala. And so prayer is vital. It is an important key, and my church has a prayer group that meets every Thursday morning, and missionaries, especially Doris and Tim, are a part of that. But it's a daily thing. We have to cover them in prayer.
Thanks for that reminder. Thanks, both of you, for being here. Be sure to go visit newcovenantworldmissions.org or check out YouTube's Hospital Shalom 2019. Doris Spurrier, Jane Taylor, thank you so much for joining us in our community.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susie.